Welcome to the second half of the RagingFX's Forex Trading course, week number 7. If you'd like more information about this course, please visit us at RagingFX.com. Today we'll be covering the first of 5 strategies used by our in-house trading desk. This first segment is titled Prepping and Setup. Before we begin, let's make a quick review of the key concepts we have covered so far. First, we looked at the fundamental difference between trading stocks versus Forex. Then we learned about how to determine your own risk profile number in pips. That led us through a 3-part segment where we gained a solid understanding of the how and why pip values differ by currency pair. And finally, we discussed how to find and use smart pips with each RagingFX signal to manage your daily trade exposure. A friendly warning: if you missed any of the above bullet points, then please do yourself a favor. Catch up with the course before proceeding, otherwise the following won't make a lot of sense. Now let's apply some familiar numbers to these concepts by going personal. First, let's determine your risk profile number. In our previous exercises, we used 3% because it is the number most commonly used among traders. If you prefer to be more conservative at first, then you may choose 1 or 2%. Greater than 3% is not recommended. Second, select the most likely starting balance in your Forex account when you plan to go live. Here we suggest at least $10,000 US. 5,000 is okay too, but 10,000 offers greater flexibility with a 3% risk profile number. Third, calculate your risk profile number in pips. Similar to the Weight Watchers example used in the previous lesson, we chose 30 pips, which incidentally is equivalent to a maximum daily loss of $300 US. Finally, write a legal note to yourself that under no circumstances will you ever exceed net 30 pips risk exposure at any one time with your Forex trades, or any trade for that matter. We suggest that you post this legal document where you can see it often. Now let's take a look at a typical RagingFX signal. As you know well by now, the RagingFX algorithm provides 3 key levels with each signal. First, there's the entry level, followed by the stop loss level and the take profit level. Let's evaluate this example closely with the diagram on the right. First, it's a buy signal, hence the stop loss level is at the bottom while the take profit level is at the top. And somewhere in between these two levels lies the infamous entry level. It's infamous because the closer the entry level is to the stop loss, the greater the profits, but also the greater the chance of getting stopped out. And the reverse is true. Entry points set further away from the stop loss level will limit the trade profit potential while reducing the chance of getting stopped out. What the RagingFX algo does is determine a balance between probability, risk management, and market sentiment. Frankly, it takes a lot of calculating to get it right. For this reason, we have established our rule number 3. Unless you are a certified expert, do not modify the take profit or stop loss numbers provided to you. You will learn later in this course that you will have some flexibility with the entry level, but for now, learn to use the levels provided to you. Keep in mind that our algo has done all the work for you and has calculated these levels using an optimization model. Now that we are clear with our stop loss and take profit levels, let's take a closer look at how to best handle entry levels. The RagingFX algorithm is designed to suggest one of 3 entry strategies: at the market price, at the limit price, and a combination of both market and limit prices. Market price entries are considered aggressive trading and require monitoring, since price quotes can be volatile at the time a trade is entered. On the other hand, limit price entry strategies use the levels suggested in our signals and are hence considered more conservative because they require minimal monitoring. When using a limit price strategy, traders usually have more than enough time to enter a trade. Finally, using a combination of both market and limit price entries can offer some advantages and will be covered in greater detail in this course. To communicate the preferred entry strategy, RagingFX uses a 3-color coded system. They are gray, yellow, and green, and can be easily identified by the color of the cell showing the last quote. Each color represents a different trading strategy, so it's important to look for the color code first when a signal arrives. Let's start with the first color. If you see a gray colored at the right-hand side of the signal as shown in the example, then here's what is happening and what you need to do. First, RagingFX is telling you that the signal is good, but the market sentiment and other factors are at that moment not optimal. Hence, the recommended trading strategy is to remain conservative using the levels provided as a limit order only. Keep in mind that we measure market sentiment as it relates to our algo specifically. Okay, now if after meeting all the criteria from our checklist, that's coming up in our next slide, then go ahead and place your order exactly as indicated by the signal. You will discover with practice that gray signals tend to allow more time for entry and minimal supervision. They're perfect when you're on the go. Before placing the trade, it's important that you complete your signal checklist prior to placing a trade. Let's take a look. When you receive a signal, ask yourself the following questions. Can I set aside 60 seconds to focus 100% on this trade? Does the trade match my personal views or preference? Do I have enough smart pips left to place a trade? And finally, do I have ample time to monitor the recommended trading strategy? If you've answered no or none to any question, then pass on the trade. This list might seem long to you, but once you have followed it a few times, the process will become second nature. Let's review this checklist in greater detail. Why do I need 60 seconds to focus? Because if you're distracted, mistakes can happen easily. Second, what if I don't have a view or preference for the currency pair? Over time, you'll start developing a preference for trading certain pairs and perhaps not trading others. That's normal. Choose the ones that you feel most comfortable with. What if I've used my smart pips daily allowance, my 30 pips? Then look to close an active trade first to release some of the pips prior to placing another trade. And what do you mean by monitoring a trade? Well, some strategies render best if properly monitored. The gray strategy requires the least amount of monitoring, if at all. We'll cover more details on monitoring tricks and tips from the pros later in the course. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this session as much as we have in preparing it. If you have any questions, please post them below or send us an email from our website at RagingFX.com. And thank you.